Hey VC, what's up? It's me, yours truly. I am back to post a quick video here. This is going to be just kind of the next video, which is continuing on somewhat of a hip hop theme that I've kind of got on in the past week and a half or 2 weeks or so. About I guess 2 weeks ago, somewhere in there, the Vinyl Guru did a video of essential hip hop albums, which mainly had a lot of '90s stuff in there, which made me get this desire to do an essential '80s hip hop video, kind of tail ending on what she was doing, and then when I had the live stream about a week or so ago with Billy Hurst, Mitch, and Steve Harmless Rebel, uh, that spawned this long discussion about hip hop that none of us had anticipated. Just kind of started flowing and going that way, and it was just kind of really cool diving back in. So between diving back into that '80s stuff and that awesome discussion that we had, a lot of the comments that you guys left, not only on the live stream but on my essential '80s, I've just had a lot of hip hop on the brain in the past week and a half or so. So I decided to kind of continue that while I'm feeling it and just do another hip hop related video. And I know many in the comments, kind of mentioned too, it's just not an area that we do a ton of in the VC. So what I decided to do this time was just to kind of do a video, just showing some, I can't really say my favorite, but just some of my favorite samples in hip hop stuff that, I like the original, and then I also love the sample that was done, and just kind of, sharing some of my, I keep wanting to say favorite, because really what I did was a few minutes ago, I just said, oh, I want to do that video and just go with the very first ones that I think about. Don't even dive in and what are your favorites and process of elimination. I just basically took the first 10 or 12 or so that came to mind, and that's what I'm using. So, yeah, so just instant, instant thought on these. So let me just kind of dive right into it. And what I'll do is I'll show the rap slash hip hop song first, and then I'll show where it was sampled from, or at least one source where it was sampled from, because a band can sample something, can sample something, can sample something, and blah blah blah. All right. So I think it'd be interesting too. If you watch this video all the way through, keep score for yourself. Let me know how many of them you guess before I show where it came from. I'd be very interested in seeing, kind of how many people, how many you may get right out of that. So let's just kind of jump right into it. We're going to start off here with Loonies, Operation Stankola. Stankola. I mean, again, you guys that big hip hop fans definitely know this album very well. And of course, the hit I'm talking about on this is I Got Five on It. Definitely my favorite song by them off of this album. And the beat off of that was sampled note for note from, make your guesses, keep track, Club Navarra here. And this is actually the 12-inch single of the song Why You Treat Me So Bad. And like I said, it's a note for note sample with the beat they took off there. Even the melodies on the chorus is the exact same, just different lyrics. But yeah, fantastic track. I mean, love both this '80s version. I think it's '87, somewhere around there, as well as the Loonies version. And if you're not familiar with this band, the song that you probably have heard somewhere along the way, it was kind of their biggest hit. They did that remix of Bill Withers' "Lean on Me." It was kind of more of a upbeat dance type of thing, and they did actually a decent job on it too, considering. But yeah, very very cool R&B group from the '80s. And yeah, Why You Treat Me So Bad is where Looney's got that beat from. And there was also another group that did a kind of a spoof, and it was a song called Roaches, and then they used the exact same beats and everything off of that. So gosh, I haven't thought about that song in forever. But anyway, let's move along to the next one. Next, we're gonna go with Ice Cube, and of course, this is a death certificate. And everybody knows that this is the one album I really still need on vinyl. I have Americas, I have Predator, bootleg, which I absolutely bootleg and B-sides, which I absolutely love. But this is still kind of the one piece that's still eluding me. But anyway, the song I'm picking off of this is No Vaseline, and of course you guys know that song as one of the most diss of diss songs ever put on a record. You know, I guess that was shortly after NWA and Ice Cube kind of split ways, and I think was it on 100 Miles and Running where they kind of took a couple of digs at Ice Cube on that album. I think it was 100 Miles, and then Ice Cube just came back and said bad things about them. But yeah, awesome song. But again, the entire groove, beat, and the whole nine, where Ice Cube took that from. Keep track of your score. Brick. Good High is the name of the album, and it's the song Daz, which is just a funky track in and of itself. But that's where Ice Cube took the beats and everything from, or just pretty much all the music from No Vaseline. So fantastic record, awesome stuff. All right, next let's go with this one. Make sure I still got these in order. I think I kind of shuffled them up earlier. Notorious B.I.G, of course, Ready to Die. Again, classic album that every hip hop fan pretty much knows. And there's a couple different songs you could pick off of this for samples, but I'm going with the song Juicy, which was the first song that I heard by Notorious B.I.G. I think that kind of came out and was doing a little better than, at least initially, before Big Papa, but I think that eventually kind of took it over. But anyway, so the song Juicy by Notorious B.I.G. And that was a sample, and again, pretty much a note for note sample from this band right here, which is M to Me, M to May. And this is the album Juicy Fruit, and the sample from Juicy came from the song Juicy Fruit, the title track off of this album. And fantastic track too, absolutely one of my favorite 80s grooves. Oh my gosh, especially the way she delivers on the vocals. I mean, it's just, she's not going out there, she's not going wild. I mean, she has a great voice, but it's just a smooth delivery. Excuse me, I absolutely love it. And for those maybe that don't recognize M to May, he used to actually be a percussionist. And I think in the 70s, I don't know if it was early 70s or mid 70s, he was touring with Miles Davis. So obviously he's no joke if Miles Davis is taking him on tour to play. But yeah, in the 80s, he kind of got into his soul groove, and this is one of the fantastic pieces that he put out. And again, if you're not familiar with that song, Juicy Fruit, make sure you check that out, because it is just a jam of all jams. Again, you guys know I love doing my storytelling, but I'll never forget, because as a kid I used to see that video all the time, and I loved it. And it's old school, looks like someone's doing it with an old handheld VHS camera or whatever. But there's this one scene in there where there's this Asian lady that's kind of dancing around, and she's dancing kind of in a soul classical kind of way. And then there's this black dude there that has on these glasses and like this leather hat or whatever, and he's doing stuff that's a little more break dancey, if you will. And he's kind of dancing around her. And he did this thing where, he had the cigarette that he put in his mouth and then flipped it back, flipped it out of his mouth or whatever. And I remember as a kid just thinking that was like the coolest thing in the world. And so, I mean, that video is just seared into my mind with a awesome little synth piece in the middle too. It just gives me chills every time, as simple as it is. Anyway, let me get moving forward. I start to break down songs too much. What's going to be the next one? The next one will be, oh, okay. We're going to go with the Digital Underground. This is Sex Packets, another classic from early 90s. And of course, they were big with the Humpty Dance. Do What You Like was kind of, somewhat of a hit for them as well. But really, their jam off of this was Freaks of the Industry. I mean, that's the song that my friends and I, that we bumped all the time. Virtually never played Humpty Dance for the most part, but yeah, Freaks of the Industry is the jam. And again, a note for note sample from the one and only Queen of Disco, Donna Summers. and it's the song "Love to Love You, Baby," which really was a freaking tight groove. I mean, that's where Donna kind of, you almost say, kind of left her disco behind for a moment and just got down and sensual and just killed it on that track. Well, they took the song note for note, so another great one there. An artist that I'm not a huge fan of, but worth mentioning for this particular video, Ja Rule, Pain is Love there. He's one of those artists where he has, two or three specific songs that I like, but for the most part, I can completely live without the rest of his entire catalog, without no problem. So again, not my favorite, but there's a couple tracks on here which I do really like a lot. One being "Living It Up," which is, I think, especially from a hip hop perspective, that is a really, really great kind of upbeat dance, just good vibe type of track. So I really love that. And he sampled that, including even the words in the chorus, he sampled directly from the genius himself, Stevie Wonder. And he sampled it from the song "Do I Do," which you could probably guess by listening to the chorus of his song. Oops, sorry, bumping the table there. But yeah, definitely a classic one, and that's one of the first ones that came to mind when I was thinking about this, because "Do I Do" is one of those songs where my dad is originally from, well, he passed away a while ago, but he was originally from Africa, and pretty much grew up all the way to adulthood in Africa. So when he came to the States, he wasn't really one that got into a lot of the American music and stuff like that. He loved Motown, loved the Temptations, but any type of rock or just any of that, flower power 70s, blah, 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 just wasn't into it. But one of his favorite songs ever was "Do I Do" by Stevie Wonder. So he used to just play that to no end, just play it to death. So, anytime I hear "Living It Up," of course, that's the first thing that's coming to my mind there. All right, the next one, I actually pulled two albums that were a sample from the one I'm going to show. And the first one is South Central Cartel, "Madness," from 1990 or 91, 1991. And it's the song "Ya Gets Clowned." And then the other one I'm going to pull is from MC Breed and the DFC, "Ain't No Future in Your Frontin'." Both just, classic jams. But both of those songs were sampled from the one and the only Zapp, Roger and Zapp, and it's the song "More Bounce to the Ounce," which honestly, there is a ton of stuff I could have picked that was sampled specifically from "More Bounce to the Ounce." I could have went with South Central and DFC like I did. I could have went with EPMD, Strictly Business. I could have went with Heavy D and the Boys. There are just so many artists that have sampled that specific beat that it's just, or stuff from that song. It's not even funny. And when you start talking about Zapp as a whole, their entire catalog, there's hundreds and hundreds of songs that were sampled from Roger and Zapp, without question. But I think "More Bounce to the Ounce" might be the most. Um, so, and the cool thing about that too is South Central Cartel sampled the main bass line that goes throughout the entire song of "More Bounce to the Ounce." MC Breed actually went in, and there's about a 15-second or so bit in "More Bounce to the Ounce" where there's just kind of this little, I guess, whatever keyboard little thing that they do, which is just really kind of funky. It repeats like 2 or 3 times, and then it goes away. Well, he just took that little section and looped it. So he didn't even go on just the whole basic beat. He actually just went in and took a piece of it and still made a killer jam. So that just shows the funk that Roger and Zapp laid down. Next year, DJ Quik. Quik is the name. The good old days of bumping right there. Awesome album. Great songs like "Tonight," which is a fantastic groove. But I'm talking about "Born and Raised in Compton" is the song that I'm pulling out for this video. And now Born and Raised in Compton was sampled directly from Isaac Hayes' Hot Buttered Soul, which is, I mean, if you have an R&B collection, this has to be inside of it. Just just an awesome, fantastic track. I mean, tracks, everything from Walk On By to, I mean, fantastic album, just must have it. But anyway, DJ Quik sampled again on virtually note for note. And I'm not gonna say it because I always mess it up, but about hyperbolic blah 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 sticks. And you think I'm making fun of it, you just go look at the song title and you'll know exactly that was actually correct. But just one of Isaac's funkiest jams. Long song too, but it's just so funky you can't quit. I mean, awesome, awesome stuff. So DJ Quik went right to Isaac Hayes. And that's another one of those songs where you could easily go pick 10, 15, 20 artists that have sampled directly from this Isaac Hayes album, specifically that song. So that's awesome stuff too. So again, make sure you guys keep track of how many you're getting right. I would love to see if someone gets this one. All right. Public Enemy, Takes a Nation of Millions to Hold Us Back. Obviously a legendary, hip hop album. To me, really them kind of at their peak. Um, every song on it, absolute killer. But the song I'm pulling out for this video is She Watched Channel Zero. So again, what would be the sample that's pulled? And very clear, it's not something that's hidden or anything. The sample that was pulled for that album. Again, any guesses? And I would love to know if someone guessed Slayer's Rain and Blood. Again, it's one of those early days of hip hop and metal kind of crossing, which is not surprising too, because remember, this was on Def Jam. Slayer was on Def Jam. And anytime you have that Rick Rubin piece, because I think this was produced by Rick Rubin. Rick knew good music no matter how it came. He knew it from the funky side, from the hip hop side, from the metal side, and I think it was a blessing to have Rick there to really start kind of crossing these worlds because he heard the genius and all that stuff. But She Watched Channel Zero is a sample from Angel of Death by Slayer, which again is one of my favorite songs off of this album. Now again, when Slayer dives into Angel of Death, it's them doing, the thrash that Slayer does. So it's not that. It's when they get into that little breakdown in the middle of the song, which they do kind of the same way they do in Rain and Blood, where it gets to the part where they get on a little doom, doom type of beat, and then there's just like some awesome guitar rhythm, which is my favorite part of their concerts. That's kind of the one moment when like the entire crowd gets on the same page, the headbang and everything. It's kind of awesome. But anyway, on She Watches Channel Zero, Public Enemy took that breakdown piece and just looped it. And if you go in and listen to it, they're rapping over Slayer riffing. And I think a lot of people miss that too, especially back in the day when these came out, because back then, we're talking late 80s or early 90s, but I think late 80s. A lot of people that were listening to this were not listening to this, and vice versa. Yet those two worlds had already come together. And while I'm thinking about it, when I was talking about this and how many things were sampled from that song, if you actually continue to look here on the Public Enemy, the song Black Steel in the Hour of Chaos was sampled from that same song I was just talking about with DJ Quik. Public Enemy stole a different piece specifically from that song. So, man, it's a bad album. If you don't have it, Isaac Hayes, you need to get it. Paperboy and the Diddy. It's a 12-inch single. Awesome little song. I mean, it's kind of the feel good aspect of hip hop. Nice soft vocal delivery. Nothing dirty inside of that. Really, just kind of a not even playful, but just kind of a kickback dance. Just it's kind of hard to describe if you're not familiar with it, but definitely just a great track. And Paperboy sampled that from, look, he's popping up again, Zapp, from Roger and Zapp. And it's the song Do Why Diddy. And again, just took it note for note right out of there. So another great one. And last but not least, one of the greatest groups in all of hip hop, which is a tribe called Quest. This is just kind of a greatest hits, the anthology. And the thing I love about Tribe too is you really get all the different elements with them. I mean, some hip hop groups, you could say they really make you want to dance, and you like dancing, having a good time to their music. But if you say, are they really deep on the lyrics? Like, are they really going anywhere? Not really, but it's just something. It makes me feel good, makes me want to dance. Others, yeah, they're so deep on the lyrics, but does it really make you want to get up and dance? Is the emceeing, is it really that unique, or is it kind of just one more person? They happen to make a good song where pretty much anyone could take that song and make it good. Like, you can start put a lot of groups into those little departments, if you will. There's not a ton of them that you can say bring all of that to the table. Songs that make you want to dance, lyrics that are just freaking amazing and so creative. MCs delivering in ways that you don't mistake them for anybody else, and no one else can do what they're doing. That's Tribe. Just a complete artist without question. So anyway, so the song I'm picking off of here for this video is Can I Kick It? One of the very first songs I ever heard by Tribe. It's amazing too, because most albums I have in my collection and most songs, if you ask me where was I when I first heard that album or that song, I can tell you a vast majority of them, because those moments just sear themselves in my mind. And it was just on a basketball trip and down in Florida, and our coach decided to rent a boat and take us out for a night because it was a really nice night, and we were the only ones on the boat, so we had tons of space. And so since we were the only ones, the captain allowed us to put in any tapes that we want. And my teammate Chad, will never forget that. He had just got the new Tribe, threw it in. I had no idea who Tribe Called Quest was. The first two songs that played was Bonita Applebaum and then Can I Kick It? And I was like, I'm hooked. Fell in love on the high seas right then. So Can I Kick It? And of course, that was a sample from Walk on the Wild Side by the one and only, the legendary Lou Reed. So there you go. Those are really just kind of the first 10 or 11 that came to mind. I mean, because even now that I'm sitting here thinking about it, there are some that I would kind of classify as my favorite that I left out. I could think of a couple by Method Man, Black Sheep, and a couple others. But anyway, better to make it a little spontaneous. So thanks for watching, VC. Again, let me know what you guys think, and we will talk to you soon.